What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of the Bottom Line on Sports. He's Jeremy Pink. I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor, and this is our show about the intersection of money and sports. And without further ado, happy World Cup, people. You've got a World Cup number for us.
Yeah, it's great. It's been a great World Cup, and I think I have a really interesting World Cup number,
I'll be the
which
judge of that.
is $650,000, roughly. This is the Jeremy Pink estimate based on doing some
Okay.
reading and some calculating. $650,000, roughly, is my estimate.
Is your
And
estimate of $650,000 is what?
that is what the winning player on each player on the winning team will likely get for appearing in the World Cup.
Oh, so
So
it's
yeah, and it depends. Now, it depends on kind of country by country because prize money is delivered by FIFA, and then it's delivered to the countries, and then the countries divvy up the prize money. But from what I can tell, it's going to be between 6 and 700,000 US per
that
player.
sounds like sofa couch money to soccer players.
It's chump change. It's
Okay,
total
yeah.
it's total chump change. So
But
what's
is it any different than any of these other champions? Like Super Bowl champ gets 100,000,
well,
and their guys make
yeah.
whatever they make 27 million.
What about the NBA Cup?
Yeah,
But
what
but
is
it's
surprising in
true.
that?
But it's true. Like the NBA Cup, the guys make, your players make probably I think 500,000 if they're on the winning team.
Yeah,
Which is, when you're Luca or when you're,
when you make $49 million a year, or
yeah.
how about this? Let's just take a regular player in the NBA. You make $21 million a year. Do you really get excited about 500,000, which after
Right.
taxes is 225? That's like, hey, I guess I'll go buy me a watch.
But I think, so let's say the World Cup World Cup player gets about 650,000. But that's not the value of being in the World Cup because if you have a performance like Harry Kane had today, we're taping this show Wednesday right before the U.S. Bosnia round
Right?
of 32 match, which so we don't know who's won that. But if you had a day today like Harry Kane did, the value that he probably created by being in the World Cup, by being Mr. England, is
Oh, it's
probably
much.
immeasurable. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna take it a step further. If you're the goalie of Cape Verde and you had that
True.
shutout and you've led them to the knockout round where they've never been in their first
Yeah.
year, you and your boys are national heroes. And so it doesn't even matter what you get for advancing to the knockout round of the tournament. When you go home, there's nothing you can ever buy.
That's right. That's right. And
I'm
also probably the endorsement deals alone that some
yeah,
of these players are going to get are going to be worth it. But which I think really speaks to how important the World Cup is actually perceived by the players because it's not, I mean, everybody's in it for the money, and I think that's great if anybody's in it for the money, but there isn't cash directly necessarily for a lot of these players, particularly the big names. It's chump change.
yeah. I think this is also even if you go past the money, and the money's always good. But even if you go past the money, you can just look at the crowd shots, man. This is also, I think, here's a good question. I think is competing for the World Cup for your national team. I almost think the U.S. it's not. Is it bigger deal to compete for your World Cup as a national player or for the Olympics in whatever your sport
In
is?
your respective sport.
Yeah,
I think for most countries outside of the United States and maybe Canada, I think hockey's probably bigger in
right.
Canada. Um, but I would say for a European or South
African
American
nation.
country,
Yeah,
yeah, I think probably soccer is the biggest. Maybe some of the Asian countries, baseball might be bigger, but
yeah.
but
But see, I think you're right. I think it's soccer because it's if you look at the way these countries have like stopped while the game while their national team is playing. And then even when you look at the shots that the crowd shots during the game, and I'm not talking about your standard 24 to 54 male. I'm talking about the little kids and the women are all
mhm,
everybody's into it. Everybody's invested 100%.
mhm.
And dude, we got 8 games or 8 teams in Dallas. When Argentina won the other day, bro, they were at the stadium like 4 hours after the game,
It's great.
and it was all. I mean, it was
That's
like
great.
a national party. and
Hmm.
now I was never going to be caught up in that, but from afar to watch it, it was really cool.
Right.
It was I mean, it was really exciting, and I'm like, that's what it's all about. So you kind of feel the excitement, and the money is they're not playing for money, but they're playing for that nationalistic pride. And I think you make a great point. What comes after? I mean, it's like even if you win the Olympic gold medal, you get like $16,000 or $30,000, but
Hmm.
what you can do endorsement wise and what you can do with your career afterwards is what it's all about. The medal is just gives you
Yeah. It,
validity,
it gives
validation.
you, especially the top players are playing for legacy as much
Yeah,
as anything else, and want to be known as, so Harry Kane, for example, today, he scored 2 goals. He probably now has positioned himself as the best international player in the history of England because of his performance today.
yeah, can't deny it.
Yeah, and
Um,
and that is, that's something that, if you this is with David Beckham and Wayne Rooney and others, over the years, that's a pretty remarkable
oh yeah,
accomplishment. Yeah,
but the flip side of that is you're only playing for 650,000 per team if you per guy if you win it.
right.
But the pressure is just overwhelming because you really have the weight of a nation on your back,
Hmm.
especially if you're England, you're Germany, you're Argentina, you're Brazil. You're
Hmm.
one of those people, one of those teams that's supposed to make a deep run, like the Dutch lost the other day, and it's all because the pressure got to them, and they were sitting
Well,
penalty kicks like me, 6 feet
well,
wide of the goal.
no, the Dutch should have lost. I mean, they were scared. They play. I mean, to me,
That's what
they
I'm
played.
saying.
No, 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 but no. They played scared in the first 120 minutes. The penalty kicks just confirmed that they were scared. But
It's, but I think it's the
yeah,
weight of the thing, which is why they played scared.
I don't. I didn't think they could. I didn't. They didn't think they could play with Morocco. I think they played anyway. We don't have to dissect a,
I
a
was
a
going to
match
say,
that neither
but
you or
yeah,
I probably can really dissect. But if you watch that match, they were so afraid to make a mistake and let Morocco
mhm.
score that they didn't even. They had no attack in that
And
game.
that's the worst kind of soccer. That's the way
Oh, it's
Italy
brutal.
usually
It's
plays.
brutal. It's brutal, and that's why, again, not to belabor this, but that's why the most of the international competitions, in fact, nearly all of them now got rid of the golden goal, which is whoever scored first won the game, because nobody wanted to make a mistake and nobody would score. So they
Right,
got rid of it. That's why there's two 15-minute periods of extra time now. So
right,
anyway,
and that's why what you want to see in every game is a 2-0 lead
right. So
because
so
that
as you look,
forces the other team to play.
so let's move on. Well, let's keep with the World Cup. And the favorites in the World Cup are really France and Spain. France, Argentina, and Spain are really the favorites in the World Cup this year. Brazil also is up there. So what I did was I was just curious. I was wondering what the transfer value was for the top 3 players on each of the top teams that are out there. So I did it for France, Spain, England, Brazil, Argentina, and then your U.S. men's national team, right? And
Yes,
so the top 3 players have a transfer value, which is essentially the market value of the player.
yeah.
The top 3, France has a market value of just about 500 million US. England's a little bit below that. Brazil's about 400 million US. I'm sorry, England's about 400 million US. Spain, sorry. So France has about 500 million US. Spain is just below them, just a touch below them. England's at about 400 million US. Brazil is at about maybe 320, 330. Argentina is at about 300, and the US is at about 120. And so what it tells you is that the market value of all of France's top players, to give you an idea, so Kylian Mbappe, arguably the top player in the world right now, his market value, transfer value, is 180 million euro. The entire value of the United States team of all players is under 180 million.
Wow.
So what does
I
that
was
tell you? And shockingly enough, France, Spain, and Argentina are the 2 favorites, and they have 3 of the top 5, you know, biggest payrolls or biggest transfer values in the market.
Yeah, and that's I mean that's to be expected. What it does is it's sobering about this is the best US team in a while, and it just
Right.
shows you how
Right.
far they have to go because the highest ranked player in terms of that is Christian Pulisic, who you would think, and Fab Bulagan, who you would think after the way he's played
Yeah.
the first games,
Yeah.
and they're both at 40 million each, whereas Mbappe is 180,
Yeah.
and so
This
he's
is Euro. So so
Euro.
Mbappe's 4.5 times
Yeah,
the transfer value, the market value of the U.S. top players.
right.
Or another way to look at it, the top two U.S. players, Pulisic and Balogun, are their market value is 80 million euro, and Mbappe's is 180 million euro.
I mean,
And
it's insane. And then when you watch him play, you see why. Because Pulisic
there's
is
no question. Yeah.
outstanding, but you watch Mbappe play or Olise, who's been just, I mean, he's been like the consummate point guard. Every pass has
Oh,
been sensational. I mean,
that
it's
team.
creative. It's
You know what it reminds me of? It's not this. It's not the same, and it's certainly not the same or not the same degree. It reminds me a little bit of the Dream Team. You know, where
I can see that.
the Dream Team when they went out on the court, they were going to win by 90. Now, I don't think France is like that, but the skill level and the talent is so many steps ahead of I think almost any other team, including the European teams. You know, and I think and it really shows you, at least to me, as I watch the World Cup, I think there's like three or four top teams, and then there's a huge drop off to the next level. You
Sounds
know,
like college football.
yeah, it's that's true too. Yeah. And but it's, you know what it's also like? It's also like most of the European soccer leagues where there's three to four really good teams, and everybody else, there's a huge drop off. And I think
Right.
you're starting to see that here. Yeah.
I would say, yeah, I'd say there's usually 4 or 5 teams. Then there's like 16 teams that are all lumped together. Then there's the
Yeah.
last four or
Yeah,
five that are
exactly.
always facing relegation.
Yeah.
But the difference between the top five and the bottom five is like Grand Canyon Gulf.
Yeah. And I also think this year's World Cup is very different because it's 48 teams versus 32, in years past. So this is the first year they've had 48 teams.
I like this.
And
I like this increase.
yeah, and I think that's why the top players are scoring so many goals, is because they know they're going to make it out of the group stage because it's almost impossible not to. They're playing teams that aren't very good, and they're, they're just much freer in terms of how they play, which means they're going to score more. So I think that's been I don't know if that was a planned goal of this is to create all that action at the beginning, but I think that's the reason we're seeing all this kind of activity and all
Now
these
see,
top players scoring.
I hadn't thought about it like that. I thought about it in terms of, and maybe it's all linked together. It just seems to me like they're playing much more aggressive. They're all attacking more,
Yeah,
and you know, I just like it that and see, I hadn't thought about it. Outside of Messi and Ronaldo, all those guys might be in their athletic prime too, in
that's a
terms of
good point.
being
Yeah,
24 to 27 years old, where they've played enough so that intellectually their soccer IQ is caught up with their physical talents. Because I mean, just like I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody could remind, but it just feels like all the stars have shown up and
they have,
played
no
at the
question.
highest level. I mean, even Lukaku came in and scored right away for Belgium when he got in the game. So it's just
Yeah, I mean,
it's wild. It's been
Senegal,
great.
Senegal choked. I mean, we were watching that right before we started recording this today. I mean,
Man,
Senegal choked.
I
So
could see it coming. I didn't think they would lose, but I do remember thinking to myself, they've dipped back into that defensive shell, and you can only give a team so many opportunities at crosses and stuff before whatever they get lucky or you make a mistake,
mhm.
and they earned the first goal, and then the goalie made a bad play on the second goal. I played goalie for a long time,
I didn't know that.
and I was taught, Taylor, you can leave the net whenever you want to. You just better come out with the ball.
Yeah,
Whether it's a
and don't allow a near post goal. Those are the rules, right?
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
And what happened is the goalie came out on a cross and didn't get the ball. Like you can't come out and not.
Oh,
I mean, he
I
didn't
didn't
even touch
actually
it.
I didn't actually see the goal. I saw I saw when I turned it on, it was tied 2 apiece, and the Belgians had a penalty kick that they converted, which put them over the top.
Now I will tell you this as we go very anal soccer is I've seen a lot of near post goals in this tournament,
So have I.
and I think it's because you're supposed to say like I got this, but I'm trying to give myself enough room to somehow get to the outside. But the strikers are like, I know you're leaning that way, so I'm going to shoot it where you don't expect me to shoot it. And I think that too is part of the reason why it's been such a fun tournament.
Yeah, I think the goal scorers, the Hollands and Mbappe's and Messi and Kane and I don't know whoever else I'm missing, um, they're just a lot better than the goalies in the group stages. They just are.
Dude, it's
Yeah,
been great, man, because
yeah,
soccer. I've loved soccer for a long time, and most of the time it's gotten a bad rap for very boring 1-0 game, nobody attacks, and I bet we've seen most of these games have been 2-1, 2-2, 3-2.
yeah. Yeah.
But
If you
it's
if you
fun.
if you bet the over in terms of the goal scored, I bet you probably won the majority of the time. You know.
Brazil, they too have your boy, what's that guy's name? Junior Vincent Vinicius or whatever. He had one of them funky goals the other day too. Now I don't like Brazil. I mean, I like Brazil, but Brazil I call them the biggest front running team in the tournament.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If they're up or it's even, you got a problem. They get down, they'll lay it down faster than
Yeah,
anybody
I
else
agree.
amongst the good
I
teams.
agree. I really think there are only probably 4 teams that can win it, which is France, Spain, Argentina. But I still think Brazil can win it because I think if Brazil is the only team that I think can actually play with France, Spain, and Argentina.
Now, how about this? If you look at Argentina, Messi is not amongst the top three.
In terms of transfer value, yeah, that's because
Right.
he's so old. But if you look at who the highest value is, it's Lamine Yamal from Spain, who's 18 years old. So I think a lot of the transfer value has to do with your age.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw, and I was just curious the other day, excuse me, because you heard so much about Messi. He's a great goal scorer. I actually looked up his stats the other day. They're insane.
He's the best.
Like,
Yeah.
and I don't know off the top of my head, but it's something like he's played 572 games and scored like 540 goals
He,
in a sport where there's often 1 or 2 goals a game.
he's remarkable. I mean, in terms of the yeah, right, the sheer volume of scoring.
It's I was just like, man, if you did that playing FIFA 26, I'd be like, Pink, change the settings, man.
Yeah, right.
You got them on rookie settings. You need to challenge yourself.
Right.
And really Ronaldo, I looked at his too, and he's really not much further behind. The
Yeah.
only difference is that the biggest difference is that I wonder if this is true. I'm gonna say it reminds me, and I haven't looked this up at all. It reminds me like comparing Gretzky to Ovechkin, meaning Gretzky's got goals and assists, and Ovechkin's just,
Yeah.
just a sniper.
Well, but it reminds me of the old fantasy sports leagues, which just shows you how much free time I had when I was younger. You couldn't put Gretzky or Lemieux in the fantasy sports leagues because whoever had them won because that's how much
Really?
yeah, it was such a difference. You had to actually take them you had to take them out of the
Wow.
draft. Yeah. That'll just show you because it was such a huge difference from
No.
everybody else. And
No.
I think and if you add in assists for Messi, it's a sort of that sort of gulf as well.
Well, yeah, that's what separates the two.
Yeah,
Because he's got a ton of assists, and like I said, Ronaldo's got. I mean, his goal scoring is almost at the same level, but he's just a sniper. He doesn't have very many assists. Relative, I mean, doesn't have very many at
yeah,
all.
but Messi, Messi and Gretzky, again, we talked about this a little bit. It's the anticipatory ability of both of them that's
Mm-hmm.
so much better than everybody else. They see the field better. They see the ice better. They can anticipate other player movements. They can anticipate. It reminds me even of I used to play chess. It reminds me of chess where you would play somebody who could see three or four, five, six moves ahead. I could see maybe if I was lucky, 2 to 3 moves ahead, but
Right
somebody else could see, 8, 9, 10 moves ahead. And that's sort of the gulf between those players and everybody else.
now, I'm smiling because Jeremy's talking about playing chess and seeing three moves ahead and competing against people who see 6 moves, and I'm sitting over here thinking, yeah, when I play Connect Four, I can see 3 moves ahead.
Yeah, but now listen, now if I haven't played chess for a long time, but it used to be, and you know what was interesting? When I would play against people, I could tell within the first four. It's like playing basketball. When you get on a court,
Right,
basketball with somebody, and within 30 seconds to a minute, okay, they're going to be better than me.
right.
Immediately. It's the same way in chess. After like 3 or 4 moves, I could tell, oh no, this guy's better than me. I could tell almost immediately. You know, uh, very exciting stuff we're discussing today. But so what's the bottom line for you on the World Cup and on player compensation?
Bottom line for me is the guys are not playing for the money, but they are playing for the money.
But bottom line for me, the team with the best and most expensive players, France, is going to win pretty easily, in my opinion.
Pretty easily
Mhm. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that competitive. The only challenge they might have, and I hope we see a rematch of
with Argentina.
Messi that
I
we
think
saw 4 years
didn't
ago.
they win 3-2 last year or the last time?
Yeah, well, Argentina won, yeah, but it was one of the best football matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, no, it was sensational. Next up is and I found this cool. It's they call it Bobby Bonilla deferral day, and that's become a whole deal. And it's all because years 30 years ago, Bobby Bonilla signed a deal with the Mets and had 5 million deferred, and that 5 million turned into like 30 million because he had deferred at like 10% or something.
Right.
So he gets a check every June 30th for I believe it's 1.9 million.
One
Uh,
point one point 1.19, almost
one
not,
one
yeah,
point one nine
yeah.
million. And this year he also picked up a check from the Baltimore Orioles for something
Yeah.
he had
For
deferred.
yeah, for other deferred comp of 500,000.
Yeah. Now some people will say that well that fits the team because the team got to spread the money out and it didn't really affect them when they played. And somebody said the year I just read this today that the year that they did that deal with Bonilla is the year that they acquired Mike Hampton and made a deep run in the playoffs. And so to them it was worth the deal. And I always say because there's several guys who had deals yesterday that had deferral deals, and we'll talk about Otani who's got the biggest one in just a second. And I always think like you know today we see guys and we go it's really hard to spend 300 million, but 20 years ago, when some of these deals got signed, the money was big, of course, but it wasn't like it is now. And a bad divorce, a bad restaurant, a bad real estate deal, or a tax problem, and you could find yourself in some financial straits. And so, to me, yeah, the team got over on some of these deferral deals, but it's nice at an advanced age at 50 or 55 or 60 to know that I still got 10 more years of $2 million checks rolling through.
I didn't realize that Manny Ramirez is still getting paid. This is a final year where he gets 2 million in deferred comp.
Yeah.
And the person who I want to be is Max Scherzer, who's getting
Woo.
$15 million in deferred comp through next year from the Nationals, and another 15 million in deferred comp per year from the Dodgers. So for the next couple of years, Scherzer's getting 30 million in deferred comp alone.
Yeah.
The
And
numbers are the numbers now. The salary numbers now are just they're preposterous now in terms of what is the difference between 40 million and 45 million. I mean, I know the difference. It's 5 million, but at a certain point, there's a diminishing return on what salary you're going to earn and what you can actually do with it.
yeah. Yeah, because it's not life changing. Somebody said there's not much difference between 1 million and 5 million or 1 million and 8 million, but there's a difference between 1 million and 10 million, but not much difference between 10 and 20. And after 20, You know,
Yeah.
what can't you buy?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's and when you right. And also if you handle your money or you invest it well, you hire someone to invest it for you, you can get a return on that every year too. And so
Yeah,
it's not like, you have to spend the money. It's not like,
well,
if you
they
manage it properly,
4 or 5% of a 20 million nest egg or 50 million nest. I mean,
yeah,
you can live off that without any problem.
forever, forever. But what you mentioned, Otani has about nearly 700 million. I think it's 680 million of his salary deferred until like, the next decade somehow. And that is, first of all, that's a insane amount of money, but I also think it is an indication of two things. One, I think it's an indication that the Dodgers do business in a very smart and different way than other organizations do it in baseball, which is why the Dodgers are winning every year. And number
Right?
two is I think Otani understood the power of being on the Dodgers and how even if he deferred his salary that much, the value of him playing for the Dodgers and for in the World Series or being a World Series contender every year was great. And he doesn't and even deferred salary, you don't really lose out on anything. You just have to wait to get the money at a later date. And so,
You have
yeah,
to wait to get the money, um, but he don't need the money
that's right.
because we hear it all the time. Like Rob Gronkowski and other NFL guys. Marshawn Lynch. I lived off my endorsement money.
Right.
He can certainly live off his endorsement money
Hmm.
from shoe deal or whether he's got a Gatorade or some kind of
Yeah.
sports drink deal. Let
Yeah.
alone all the deals he's got going on in Japan that we have
Right.
no idea about.
Right.
So he doesn't need his baseball money. And so he's setting up. I don't know how many generations will thrive off of this wealth, but it'll be quite a few.
It's it
Uh,
it reminds me, it's like the old Jay Leno story where he only took money for his stand-up gigs and lived off of that, and he wouldn't live off of his Tonight Show money.
is that right? See, I
Yeah,
didn't. Right?
same idea.
It's
Uh,
it's the same thing.
yeah, but I think it's actually an indication of the Dodgers doing business in a very different way, so they can get the Freddie Freemans, they can get the Yamamotos, they can get the Shohei Otanis, and they're going to continue to build their roster. And it allows them to sort of bob and weave in the short term to assemble a team like this.
The Dodgers are trying to win,
Yeah, that's right.
and winning's important to them. It's not important, like it ain't important to the Texas Rangers. If they win, that's cool, but winning is not all they're concerned about.
Hmm.
They're concerned about the bottom line fiscal budget,
Hmm.
and most teams are like that. Which is why I'm not a proponent of salary caps. If you want to spend all your money to try to win, more power to you, brother. And if you don't want to spend your money, Pittsburgh Pirates, Texas Rangers, whatever, um, I mean that's okay.
Don't.
I just don't want to hear you. I don't
Yeah.
want to hear any bitching and moaning when you don't win. And I put it more like everybody who owns a team is rich. So the Texas Rangers, Dallas Fort Worth is like the fourth, fifth largest metropolitan city in America. So they should have, to me, fourth or fifth payroll.
Right.
They
Right.
should be down there at 9 and 10,
Yeah. Yeah.
talking about, well, we've spent enough. And if you don't want to spend it, don't own the team.
No, that makes perfect sense. If you look at also, I'm in total agreement with you on salary caps. I think they should just be. I don't think they're necessary either. And if you look at the success of some of the major sporting leagues around the world, the English Premier League, all the soccer leagues around the world, even Major League Baseball, you really only have a handful, 4 or 5 teams that can win every year.
Yeah.
And those leagues are incredibly successful. Now, you can make the argument that the NFL is very successful and really started to drive the value of franchises, drive viewership, drive interest in it. In the '80s, when they went and they decided to move toward parity, that was a stated goal of
Pete Rozelle.
Pete Rozelle. I was going to say not tag league with yeah Pete Rozelle, And that was a really good move. And that's what the NBA is trying to do now by changing their salary cap around. And you now have, I think you've had 8 different winners in the last 8 years for the NBA title, which if you looked at it before, there was only like something like 6 or 7 teams that had won over like a 30 to 40 year
Right.
period. And so you can make the argument either way. I just think people watch stars and they watch big brands and big names, and that's what they're going to want to watch.
Yeah, I think so. I think I 100% believe they watch stars and they watch iconic franchises. You
Yeah,
know, and they like dynasties because it gives you somebody to love or hate.
that's right. That's right. I
You know,
mean, look,
like the Dodgers. You either
well,
love the Dodgers or you hate the Dodgers.
right. Or look at how much hate the Chiefs get, or the Chiefs had up until last year because they were so dominant. But again, as a total aside, what it showed was how good the Chiefs were because the AFC last year was once the Chiefs were out, the AFC was wide open and you realized there weren't any good teams. That's how much better the Chiefs had been than every
Right.
other team. But that's neither here nor there. Um, but yeah, so a lot of these deferrals, like Ryan Braun is getting money, Adam Wainwright, um,
I
who I
like
saw who I saw pitch in St. Louis a couple of years ago, by the way.
like think about this, man. Chris and I'm partial to Chris Davis because
Oh, Chris Davis. Yeah, I missed him. Yeah,
started off in Texas, and he became one of those guys who I think his best year he hit like I don't know. He was he. I'm making two different points, but he became an all or nothing hitter. He
hmm
was a home run or strikeout
hmm
hitter.
hmm
And as soon as he got traded to Baltimore, he had like a 2 year stretch where he was like everything you could dream of. Meaning he hit like 240, but he hit like 50 homers and 130 ribbies or whatever.
That's right. That's right.
And then he fell off a cliff, bro.
hmm
And he was like a below 200 hitter like the last 4 years of his
I
career.
didn't know that. Yeah,
But what I like is from 2026 to 2032, he's getting a check for $3.5 million a year. And after that, from 2033 to 2037, he's getting a check for 1.5 million. And as we just discussed, if you'll just put that money away and invest it wisely, you can make 3 million a year turn into whatever you want it to be
that's right.
and live a great
That's
life.
right.
And you had 3 good years in the big leagues.
And you also protect yourself from yourself if the money's deferred every year. And
Well, see, that's the thing I think people overlook.
yeah,
Like, why is like for real? Why is Allen Iverson not homeless right now? Because he deferred his Reebok deal till he was 50, and when 50 can't, like he was trying to borrow against it, they're like, nah, bro, you can't do that. And finally he turned 50. He's a little more mature, and he got a second wave of money. And now, hopefully, you won't make the same mistakes you
let's
made
hope
as a
so.
youth.
Let's hope so.
Um, let me ask you this: lean in. Do you think Floyd Mayweather's got any money deferred coming to him?
The only money that Floyd Mayweather has is in his nickname. That's it. So
We're going to talk about Money Mayweather at a later date
just,
because that story's gotten
oh my
insane.
God, it is all it's become so absolutely absurd
Yes, no, it deserves a whole
no,
show.
for reasons that I can't comprehend. But it's just so absurd.
No, and the way he talked and talked down to people and everything, he's going to get no public sympathy.
Mhm.
And now that you know what happens, especially because you've been in the business world, once sharks smell blood, lawyers smell blood, and they're like, oh, we need to file our suit because we need to get our money. There's only so much money is going to get paid out in these lawsuits. And we need to make sure that we're in line. If there's a payout, that we're in line to get one.
The other thing, and this has nothing to do with his earnings, he's the most boring fighter in the world to watch. I mean, he's a great fighter, don't get me wrong, but his
Right?
style is just brutal. And because I've been a home alone. My kids are in LA. My wife is overseas for the last couple of weeks. Uh, I really am doing a lot with my spare time, so I've been watching a lot of old Mike Tyson videos.
Really? Have you?
And yeah, and like when he was like 18, 19, because that's a fighter. That's something to watch. He was amazing. You watched him as an 18-year-old.
Well,
He has such a recognizable style. that you knew even as an 18-year-old where his style wasn't fully developed, you knew that was Tyson. He's a
Uh,
remarkable fighter.
the worst thing ever happened to him was he and Kevin Rooney split because Kevin Rooney was that link to Cus D'Amato and and we can say this about a lot of things, Jimmy and Jerry
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
these other marriages. If he had stayed with Kevin Rooney, I think he'd have been the champion we thought he'd have been because he'd have kept the head movement, the bob and weave, and
Yeah.
all the technical stuff, in addition to the raw power and the fury
Yeah.
that made him a great boxer for a minute. And then,
Until
as
he lost to Columbus, Ohio's Buster Douglas,
in a
managed
fight I'll never forget.
whose dad, who a former colleague of ours, his dad used to be Buster Douglas's manager, was Buster Douglas's manager at the time.
Yeah, we might as well go there. So we
Yeah.
were JJ, John Johnson.
John Johnson.
His dad was Buster Douglas's trainer. He worked with us as a low-level agate clerk at the
Yeah, we
Dallas
had,
at the Columbus Dispatch.
yeah.
And he went to Tokyo for the fight. And so were you in the office that night?
It was at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no. You can tell the story, right?
No, I can't
But
remember. Were you in the office that night?
I was not. I think you were in the office
Okay.
that night, not me. Yeah.
So we're watching the fight on the TV in the office. Everybody's crowded around the TV. And we can't believe Buster Douglas is about to knock out Mike Tyson. He knocks him out. And this is the truest story ever. About 3 minutes after the fight, the phone rings. We pick it up, and it's JJ calling from Tokyo, screaming about how he's not coming back to work ever again.
Right.
Because his
He-
dad bet like 100,000
Yeah.
or bet his purse on Buster Douglas winning the fight.
Right.
And so you can imagine what the payoff was from that. Now, just so you know, we're a couple of schmucks here, and John Johnson is now a highly respected attorney in Columbus.
I didn't even know that. Is that right?
Yeah, no, highly respected family attorney, handles divorces and child custody and all that kind of stuff.
I didn't know that, but that was a crazy time because first of all, nobody picked up that fight. Did you know that Buster Douglas couldn't even get a shoe deal to endorse him, so he wore pony shoes, which nobody wore at the time. It was, and he was, I won't say her name, but he was sort of connected indirectly to one of our other colleagues who did the agate with us.
Really?
Yeah, not that way, but she knew him through some. I think she knew his girlfriend at the time.
Oh, Chopper?
I think it was her, well, I forget what her name was, Bertha, but she went by a different name, right? Yeah. And I think she was close to Bertha, is what I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, the things
Yeah.
you find out on this show.
I know. I
would love to run into Chopper these days.
Yeah.
I can't even remember her last name.
I can't either. But
she's probably married, so her last name is not her
but
last
she was
name.
great. She was great. I liked her. She was great. I used to run into her on campus all the time too. So
Yes,
but
highly attractive young black woman.
I didn't say anything. Yeah.
Okay, we've gone off the rails now.
Yeah, exactly.
Bottom line for me, deferrals are great, and I wish I had one coming. Or maybe
Bottom
that's
line,
what my 401k is. Maybe that's what that is.
bottom line for me is a lot of executives who have high pay packages have something built into their pay packages for deferral specifically.
Really?
Largely because to help save with taxes, but I always think to help save themselves from themselves. So I think deferrals in sports and particularly in baseball, it's good business for the teams to spread their costs, and it's good for the players to manage their money. So I love deferrals. I think they're good.
And now let's go to our favorite part of the show each and every week, which is where we talk about Ohio State, since we're both graduates. Ohio State apparently, now we've been talking about this in a roundabout way, but apparently it's down to Ohio State and Tennessee for the services of a running back named David Gabriel George. And apparently the Buckeyes are willing to go past the $1 million mark to sign his high school freshman and bring him to Columbus. Now, the guy,
he's a high school freshman right now. I thought he was a high school senior.
No, he's a high school senior.
Oh, high school senior. Okay, yeah.
But he lives in Chattanooga, which is why Tennessee is high on the list. And if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, I think Peyton Manning lives in Chattanooga.
I don't know. Yeah.
But
Uh,
anyway, obviously there's a lot of pressure and a lot of home state trying to get into
yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
But if your goal is to get to the NFL, and I am biased, but if your goal is to get to the NFL and you'd like to compete for a national championship, and it's between Ohio State and Tennessee, and the money is even, you got to be a Buckeye.
Got to be a
Now,
bucket. Now,
now, if you want to play at home where Mama can come see you, that's fine. I wouldn't say anything about that. But what happens, Pink? When you're making these deals, what do you say? I'll sign for $1 million, and you give my mom and dad
100.
and
I was
my
just going to say
sister
that.
three first
Absolutely.
class tickets
Right.
to every game. And,
Right. Every game. Exactly.
and Ohio
Now,
State says, "Okay, cool."
now the issue that I have is with his name, right? David Gabriel George. Would you
Right?
trust anybody with three first names and no real last name? You know, it's the same problem I have with Paul George, who by the way just got traded, or looks like he's going to get traded as part of a package for Jaylen Brown to the Celtics.
Um,
But
uh,
David Gabriel George, three first names. I don't like it at all. I
okay,
don't.
we're going to take a very quick exit rant. Very, very
I
quickly.
don't like it at all. People with
I
two
had
first names, I don't trust. Yeah.
I had a conversation this week on LinkedIn because I couldn't help myself. I pulled a pink move. Now, my name is Jean Jacques Taylor. I had a conversation with a Harvard business grad whose name is Taylor Jean Jacques.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, and I hit her up on LinkedIn and said, I'm only contacting you because I think it's funny you have my name in reverse. And
So
she hit me back and she goes, wow. And I go, she said something else. And I go, well, I was named after Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the Haitian revolutionary. Well, that's my father's story anyway. My mother was a French major, so her name is, I just love the name. And
mhm.
she goes, oh, well, I'm a descendant of his. And when my family was emancipated, they took his first name and made it the last name.
Mm.
And so I said, wow, what a great conversation. And she went to Princeton, which is only important because my sister teaches at Princeton. So we had a very good small talk about first names. Now, that was my quick exit rant. Now
Wow.
back
No,
to our
and
regular schedule program.
I have like I have actually three quick stories to say. Number one, do you remember, you may not, you may be too young. There's a baseball player for, I think it was Milwaukee Brewers, back in the late 70s and early 80s named Gorman Thomas.
Yeah, home run hitter.
His name should have been Thomas Gorman. His parents filled out his name wrong on his birth certificate. Okay, that's one, right? That's good. The second thing is, one of my very good friends called me one day. He was so excited one day, and it was like calling me out of the blue. And he said, "I got to tell you about my friend Allison." I said, "Okay." My friend Allison is dating a guy named David Allison or Bob Allison or whatever. And I said, "Oh, okay." He goes, "No, no, no, no. They're getting married, and she's taking his last name. Her name's going to be Allison Allison." He just called me only to tell me that, and then he like hung up on me.
Well, dude, I
Yeah.
was telling my friend this exact same story. I said, imagine if we had met and married and she'd be Taylor Taylor.
Right, right, exactly. I was thinking that's exactly what I was thinking. The other thing is, and again, not to bore you, is my oldest is named Aiden, Aidan, and I really wanted to name our daughter Nadia because that's Aiden spelled backwards. And
The wife wouldn't go for that?
no, I talked to one of my friends about it, and he said to me in so many words, he said, "Look, your kids are going to think you're weird anyway." He said that may just push them over the top. I would highly advise you not to do that. So we decided not to do
Okay, back to our regular scheduled program.
that.
Uh, the man with three first names rushed for 1,756 yards and 27 touchdowns as a junior, averaged 11 yards a carry.
Oh my gosh.
And in the state semifinals, he rushed for 431 yards and 7 touchdowns on 32 carries. As a sophomore, he had 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns on 114 carries.
Is he playing in the, whatever, like the 6A division?
Well, see, that's what I don't know, but
Yeah,
he is 6 foot 205,
perfect size.
and he runs a 4.38 40-yard dash.
So he and I have three statistics almost exact. Two of the three statistics almost exactly in common. I guess you can guess which of the three he does. I'm actually a little bit taller, but that's about it.
uh,
But you know what though? That's what Ohio State needs.
That's what Ohio State
That is
needs.
what Ohio State needs. So even though
Our
he has
best
three,
teams, no doubt, we've always had elite running backs. Again, Bo Jackson to me is a really good running back. He's not an elite running back.
he's a B
Now,
plus running back, A
he can
minus.
always
Yeah.
improve and come back this year and show some wiggle and be like, oh wow, he's fantastic. But the standard is, I mean, y'all know what the standard is. It's Zeke Elliott, it's J.K. Dobbins, it's the guys we had 2 years ago, Judkins and
It's our
Trayvon.
guy, the huge lefty Keith Byers. I went up and again
Yeah,
while I was watching Mike Tyson highlights, I looked up some Keith Byers highlights.
it's
You're
those
right,
guys who
man.
can take it to the house.
He was he was a lot better than I remember. He was a great back. Yeah,
Tell you, dude, he had 1,700 yards.
yeah. Till he
I
broke
mean,
his
he was
till he broke his
phenomenal.
foot. Yeah.
Till he broke that fifth metatarsal. Don't
The
ever
fifth
forget that.
metatarsal. That's right. Sorry.
A
Yeah.
friend of mine played golf with him last week.
Oh, is he in the
So anyway,
Dallas area? He's in the Dallas area or not?
no, my friend, as I name drop, he was he played in the NFL for 4 years, and so there was one of his
Oh, some
boys had a
NFL.
golf
Yeah.
tournament, and so Keith was there and Eddie George was there too. So he was telling me about it. But so Ohio State, I say do what is required to get this young man on campus. Ohio State's best teams have always had an elite running back, and for me, the bottom line is it ain't my money, so spend whatever it takes.
Bottom line for me is Ohio State needs a punishing running back, but they also need a quarterback that can run. And I don't know if they're going to get either of those things this year.
He takes a shot at Julian saying, and
It's not a shot at Julian saying. I'm concerned about Ohio State this year
I
because
know you've been very consistent about that, so we will see.
they need, unless I'm missing something, I'm worried about their offensive line and I'm worried about their ability for a quarterback or a power back to pick up a yard. I just am.
Yeah.
My big
And on
concern.
that sad, depressing,
Yeah.
sour note, we will bid you adieu, USA, USA. Let's see if how the lads fare in the knockout round. So until we chat again, on from the bottom line of sports, he's Jeremy Peak, Jean-Jacques Taylor. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you next week. And guys, remember, rate and review us and subscribe and do all that kind of good stuff. It's really helpful to us. Anyway, have a good week, everybody.